Alright guys, welcome to part 5 of this video series. Okay, well, in this part of the series we are going to look at loops. So basically, if you want a certain process to occur like several times, something to repeat itself over and over, how to actually do that. So in this video we will look at in fact, for this loop part of the series, we are just going to look at it in two ways. The first way is where how many times the loop should take place. If it's 5 times or 4 times or 3 times or whatever, 10 times, 100 times, right? So that's the first way. And the other way, it's when you actually don't know when will the loop end. So the loop will actually end based on a certain condition. All right. So for example, if I wanted to write a program that will ask me, that will count from 1 until 100, right? That's a loop. So I wanted to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up until 200. So that's the first condition we'll be using, right? Because we know where should the program ends, right? So it should end after 100 times, right? So it should end there. So the second example, it would be where you don't actually know. So this would be something like it's based on let's just say if we were calculating something and the user keeps on typing and typing and typing, and up until the user says maybe something like stop, up until the user says exit, press the exit button, that's when you stop. But you don't know when the user would actually do that, right? You don't know. The user can press exit from the get-go, or he can do it after 2 times or after 5 or 7 times, right? So that's the second condition. Anyway, without wasting any time, let's actually check the first condition, where we actually know how many times. So for that, we are going to use a for loop. All right. So for the first condition, we are going to use a for loop. So in Python, the way you actually do that, so we would say for I, and where I is that variable, right? That a counter variable in a range, in the range of how many times do you want this thing to loop. Okay, so let's just say 5 times. We want it to do something 5 times, right? So let's see. So the first thing, let me just put 1 here. I want it to print 1. Let's just print 1 5 times, several times, 5 times. So we'll be printing 1 1 1 1 1 up until. Okay, so we are printing 1 several times, right? 5 times. So let's run this and see what's happening. So as you can see on our screen, we are having 1 2 3 4 5 ones, so 5 ones. Now, okay, now we saw that, but that's not how you're gonna use it in most of the time, right? So I want to show you something else. This I, what is it? It's actually a counter that counts how many times, right? And like most programming languages, Python starts counting from 0. All right, so it will start from 0 to that if it's 5 to 4. So whatever those numbers, when you come from 0 to 4, it's 5 times. Anyway, it's best to show you this by just actually using this example. So let's just print that I and see. Okay, let's run our program. So that's it. Okay, so basically that I is what is 0 1 2 3 4. You see, it printed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you count those numbers, they are 5 in total, but they start from 0 to 4, which means the in range, it counts from that, from 0 to 4, right? So if you wanted to count from 1 to 5, you would just add 1 here, right? That's what you would do. You just add 1 on that I. So you just shift each and every number by 1 unit, like that. So it will start from 1 until 5. All right. So okay, let's just go back. Oh, my data is on, right? Let's just close it. Okay. All right, so that's how you actually do these counter things. I want to show you another thing. In range, it's actually an array, so, and we would look at arrays later on. So, but basically an array is just a list of numbers that are inside these square brackets. Okay, so in the range, that part in range 5, it's same as saying it's same as that array that I wrote there. Okay, so these two are equal. Just want to write this here. So these two are the same. Okay, so basically here, that I, when you say for I in range, so it's going to loop in that array. It will go from each and every element inside the array. So which means here I can actually do something like this, right? Since these two are the same, so I can do something like that. Let's just copy this. All right, let's copy that and paste it there. So, all right. So, which means here I can actually replace this with 1, right? I can just put 1. And the reason I'm showing you this is so that you know each and every loop. If you want to loop inside an array, you can actually do that via this. And then that array can be any data type. It can be strings, it can be anything, right? So this time let's print I and see if we are still getting the same results, right? Because here we are adding what? We are adding 1. Let's just remove the 1. Leave it here. Let's just print I. Okay, as you can see, the results are still the same, right? The results are still the same. So let's add here an element. If we say 5, so the range is that range of 5, right? So it will print up until to 5, right? So that's what's happening with the range function. So when you say range 5, it actually generates an array like this. That's and when you are doing this loop, it loops through that particular array, right? So as you can tell though, the ranging function makes it easy for us to generate any array, right? Like in terms of the length. Because if I were to do this up until 200, can you imagine that? Can you imagine if I were to do this 200? Just continue with this from 5 to 100. Can you imagine how much time was I going to take to actually do that? So, but with the range function, I can just simply say here range 100. So it will print from 0 to 99. Okay, I want to emphasize that it starts from 0 to n minus 1, right? To the last term minus 1. So let's do this. And the nice thing about code, you'll see how fast it is to actually do these things, to actually print 1 up until 100. And that's why you would want to code actually things. Look, it's done in a second. It started from 0, look, up until 100, right? So you would use a for loop like this to automate certain task, right? A repetitive task. Maybe you want it to, for example, a good practice in industry, it will be something like emailing, sending emails out, or what, Eh, um anything that has to do with repeating a repetitive processes. You can do it with a for loop. Anyway, I don't want to make this video long, so in the next part of this series, right, we are going to look at while loop, right? So while loop, it means, like I said in this video, it's where we don't actually know where should the program ends. In this case, we knew that it should start from 0 to 5, for example, or from 0 to 100, right? It should repeat these things 100 times. But while loop, it will be when we don't know where should the program ends. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up, right? And if you dislike, just hit the thumbs down so that I can create a better content for you guys. Until next time, cheers.